सार्थ्यम
सार्थ्यम
अर्जुनस्य अदौ
अर्जुनस्य उदौ
पूर्वं गीतामृतं ददौ
कुर्वन् गीतामृतं ददौ
लोकत्र उपकारी
लोकत्र उपकार्य
तस्मै कृष्णात्मने नमः।
तस्मै कृष्णात्मने नमः।
श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय।
जय।
श्रीमद्
Okay,
भगवद्गीता की जय।
so what was the last verse we discussed? Anyone? Yes, Aditi.
40.
Sorry, you said something.
What was the last verse we had discussed?
Just a minute. So verse 30, 36.
36.
Yes, 36, 30, no, 37, 38. 37, 38.
Good.
Yes,
So we
verse
had
38.
discussed until 1.38. Correct?
Yes.
So what were the three reasons or the three arguments Arjun
Compassion,
to fight? First,
compassion,
second,
enjoyment, and fear of committing sin.
good. So to keep it concise or accurate with the statements, first is compassion, next is enjoyment, third is fear of sinful reactions. Okay, in the last discussion we had from 1.30 onwards, and with your study we found something as to if Arjun was going through identity crisis. Yes? Can anyone relate to this? Whether Arjun was going through identity crisis?
Identity crisis.
Identity crisis.
What does that really mean, identity crisis?
Okay. Can anyone? Does anyone know what is identity crisis?
मैं कौन हूँ?
Yeah. Anyone would like to share the thoughts quickly? 1 minute for that one.
Randir?
Why me? Why me?
You are good in
Sir,
English.
sir, मेरा identity हो रहा है कल्पेश.
Anyone would like to share their thoughts?
Sir, if I may.
Yeah,
with your
please.
permission.
Yes.
Arjun is a Kshatriya. That's the only code that he's been brought up with, and that's what he always knows. Now, since he is actually faced with a situation where his grandparents and his uncles and his cousins are all facing across him, and they're all ready to die as well as kill him, he's reaching a situation where he feels, as again, the three reasons, compassionate, the three reasons that he's actually facing. He wants to go ahead and he finds it's better to put down his bow rather than going ahead and fighting with these people.
I'll give you a clue. It is to do with the third one, the third argument.
The freedom from being.
Okay, what is the third argument Arjun is giving? Yes, anyone? Rishi?
Yes, the third argument is the fear of sinful reaction.
Fear. Bhaya.
Yes.
Yes.
So
Why do we fear? Why do someone? Why is there a fear?
because we think we are not doing the right thing, or we feel that there will be repercussions of what we are doing, the where
Yes.
that, yeah,
Yeah.
so we are afraid
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah. So we don't know if we are doing the right thing and whether it will have a reaction.
Yes.
That's one point. Yes. Any other thought? Why do we fear? Quickly, come on. Why do you fear?
So as Rishi mentioned, could it be consequences,
Consequences, reactions. Yes.
reactions?
Anything else? Anything else?
Prabhuji, we
Yeah. Who's
fear
this?
what we. Devoshi,
Devoshi. Yes, Devoshi.
we fear what we don't know.
Right.
Hmm. We fear of the unseen. We fear of the invisible. Yeah. Uncertainty. We don't know. That's why we fear. Now, this is
But
a very important point. Do we know who we are?
no, sir.
Yeah? Isn't that a big question?
So, but what do you mean by who we are? Like, for example, if you ask me, I'm Kalpesh, I'm an IT professional, I do this,
Okay,
I do that.
Kalpesh, when did you come to know that you were Kalpesh?
When everybody started calling me Kalpesh.
Exactly, right? So before that, who were you?
Sorry?
Before that, who were you?
Babu, Shupu, Ojuguju.
Yeah, yeah. What was that? Who was that?
Uh, I don't know. I was very small. How would I know?
This is where the problem is. Yeah, Kalpesh was, once he started hearing Kalpesh, 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 oh, I am Kalpesh. That's when you realize you're Kalpesh. Before
Hmm.
that, do we ask this question to ourselves? Okay, who are you? So who are you? Yes, again, quick, quick, come on.
Normal human.
Sorry?
Human, Guruji?
Soul.
Human.
We are a soul.
Okay,
No, human
we
body.
are a soul.
Human.
Human body.
Yeah.
Okay, so one is human body, one is soul. So we identify ourselves, right, with something, don't we?
Yes.
But Prabhuji,
Yeah, yes, Randir.
now I'll be pissing off Aditi. But the question is this: is in the introduction,
Hmm.
um, in the introduction, when Arjun basically goes ahead and says this, you have been the supreme Godhead, and this is not only me, but this is the words of Sri Krishna are taken to be as though of the supreme
Sorry, say
Godhead
that again.
itself, and
Say that again.
he says that the great Acharya
Yeah,
have recognized Krishna as the supreme Godhead,
yeah, yeah.
and
No, no,
he's
we're talking
basically
about Krishna. We're talking about us.
okay.
I. Who am I?
So I don't know as yet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Anyone else? That's a very honest answer. Thank you, Randir. Yes, Rishi.
So sometimes who am I is also identified with what is my purpose, what am I here to do.
And,
Like,
yeah, you're right. Yes, yes. But do we know that as well? I mean, are we clear on that?
no, we are not clear. No.
So, isn't that something which Arjun is also having the same problem with?
Yes, that is what I'm trying to, from his point of view, I'm trying to see that. Like he's
He
a
had,
Kshatriya,
yeah,
but at the moment he's like coming back to the point of identity crisis,
yeah.
or his
Can't fight.
dharma, or what he's supposed to do is going back to that. He is in that dilemma.
Is there an echo going on, Kalpesh?
Yes.
Ah, okay. All right. So this problem is not only with Arjun, with everyone generally. we come into a point that, am I supposed to do this? We have this in a daily work routine also. I'm not supposed to do this. I'm a developer. I'm an IT professional. I should not be doing this, this kind of a job when we are asked to do. That's where the conflict happens, right? I'm not supposed to do this. You're supposed to do this. This is not my job. This is your job. Identity. We identify ourselves as something. Yes?
Yeah.
And we are being told that you are not that by people. And then we get bewildered. Yes? But before that, going one step back, shouldn't it be us to find out that who am I? And that's very much the reason why we are reading this wonderful scripture, to understand this. So this should be the question in your mind. If you know who you are, you have won half the battle of spirituality. The biggest question.
Sir,
I mean, when I say knowing, it means that you are convinced and you are living that. Like I ask people who are reading Bhagavad Gita and reading other scriptures, I ask them, so who are you? Say, I'm a eternal soul. I am a servant of Krishna. I'm an eternal soul. Okay. Do you feel that? Not really. Do you live that way? No, not really. Then, so you have to live. You should be experiencing it. You should have conviction. You should be convinced that yes, this is what I am. With a lot of clarity. And that's where Arjuna. Yes, Kalpesh, you were asking me something?
so is there a list of as to who you are, or is there a list of purposes that's defined anywhere?
Purposes are up to you. Purposes is not anybody can tell you. Purpose is you to find out.
But then
But
how
having
do you
said that,
know that?
yeah, but having said that, the identification by which the characteristics which we have, the way we behave, that's what the scriptures will tell you, that what are you identifying yourself as. Does it make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to know?
Yeah, it will solve a lot of problems.
Yeah, it will. So, Srimad Bhagavatam is another scripture which is a little advanced in terms of understanding, but there are some excerpts which I can pick up and share with you. So there is a verse in Srimad Bhagavatam which talks about how do you identify yourself and what are the characteristics of someone who identifies himself as what. So there are, of course, we are souls because the life energy is called soul. The body is just matter. Everyone agrees on this?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, anyone or any ambiguity on this? That we are this body? Yeah, we have this life energy within us, and that's the real force. Okay, you call it soul, consciousness, whatever you want to call, but we will elaborate on that later. But that's something what we are, which is driving force within us. And that is, if you term it as soul, so there are two kinds. One which is conditioned, that's why we are living in this world, and one is liberated, who is realized that he is not this body. That is liberated soul. Okay? Someone who is realized completely. And this bodily concept doesn't affect him at all.
It's a mukti, Guruji.
We'll come to that later.
Okay.
But yeah, you can call liberation as mukti in Sanskrit. So, liberated soul or a conditioned soul. So these are the two terms we might use during while reading Bhagavad Gita. So conditioned soul is like us, who's trying to identify himself. Liberated soul is the one who has already realized who he is or she is. So when a conditioned soul identifies himself with the material body, okay, that is body, he undergoes miseries of drowsiness and unquenchable sexual desires that burn all the mental peace and serenity. This is what the Srimad Bhagavatam says. So that is first identification. When someone identifies himself as this body, the characteristics are that he feels lazy, he is in constant drowsiness, and unquenchable sexual desires. His sexual desires are not satisfied. Unsatisfied sexual desires. So if you have any of these two characteristics, you are identifying yourself as your body. That's what the Shastra says. So you know better. I'm not saying who you are. It's to you to find out. Next one. When a person identifies himself with the prana, that is with the life air. So there are many people who sit down and they only meditate on the breathing, life air, prana. So there are 5 different kinds of air, which will be explained in Bhagavad Gita later. So when you consider yourself, you are just this breath, just these breaths or life air is what you are, then that person and those people are too much into not just maintaining the body, but they will be fully involved in all the asanas, constantly into asanas all day. If you tell them to do asanas all day, they will do all day yoga. वो exercise करता रहे. So they identify themselves as life air. That is their life. They want to protect that. Workouts. Always in that mode that I am the life air and I have to protect it. Those people, they have the characteristics, they get hungry a lot. They have a lot of hunger. So their diet is very high. The hunger is too much. Like even after eating, you will be hungry. There will be constant hunger. Or a hunger which is not satisfied for a longer time. You get hungry very quickly. There are people who eat in portions also, but that's different. This is I'm talking about. You get hungry very quickly. Even after you have had your belly full, still feel hungry constantly. And the people, this is a second type of people. Third type of people identify themselves with the mind. The people who think I am this mind. They're analytical people. Constant analysis. हर किसी में analysis. Everything for them is analysis. Because they churn their mind for everything. Mind is what? Analytical. Mind always does analysis. This is good, this is bad, this is good, this is bad. This is what the mind does constantly. And based on that, those things, we make friends and enemies. This is good, this is bad, this is good. Every time you just have these choices. This is good, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. This is what I like, this is what I don't like. Constantly the mind is doing that. Analysis. And why I like this, why I don't like this. उसके ऊपर पूरा debate रहता है. So that those are people who identify themselves as their mind. These people have constant fear. Constant fear. एक बात सॉर्ट आउट हो गया, लेकिन दूसरी चीज का वापस फेयर. वो भी सॉर्ट आउट हो गया, लेकिन तीसरा रेडी है. Fearfulness. लिस्ट है पूरा fear का. Panic. Very quickly they will get panic. Anything happens, oh my God, quickly, do it. Many people have seen. Oh my God. You know, they get panicked very quickly. And hankering, third characteristic. Panic, next is fear, and third is hankering. You know what is hankering?
Complaining
Anyone?
always.
No. That is being, what do you call it? Complaining has another word. You know? There's a word used for people who always complain. Hankering is not that. What is hankering?
Strong mentality.
No. Anyone else? Hankering.
HANKERING. Always fighting with others.
Hankering. No. Sorry. What was that?
Someone who is always nitpicking, always whining.
No.
Fighting over petty things.
Sir,
Yes, Ranveer.
Craving,
Yes.
that would be close.
Close.
Yes,
That is
Ariv
close.
is right.
Yeah, close. Yes, Ranveer.
So isn't that more like an extreme attachment?
Yes, in a way, attachment, yes. But it is the desire basically to have it, to have something,
Right.
what you're attached to.
As Avi was
wanting more and more and
That will
more
be,
and more.
that will be greediness, but of the same thing. If you want the same thing more and more is greediness. But wanting different things all
Different
the
things.
time and being attached to those things, like always wanting something of those things, craving, as you said, always wanting this thing, that thing. That's called hankering. एक चीज मिल गई, ये तो हो गया, अभी उसका क्या, वो आ गया, अभी इसका क्या, constant hankering. So this is the third characteristic of that person who's relating himself as his mind. So you don't have to find out that what do you relate to, but you just pick up the characteristics which match you, and then you find out what am I relating to. So these are different characteristics. Then there is after that. So we went through body, life, air, mind. Then it is intelligence. People who try to identify themselves as they are the intelligence. I mean, they relate themselves as buddhi. They have a deep frustration within their heart. Unfortunately, a deep frustration. It's not shown. It's not which is. It's not something which is, visible, but it is deep inside. There is a deep frustration. Yeah, unfortunately. So people who try to relate or identify themselves as only intelligence. And then next is ego, false ego as we call it. Anyone knows ego? Anyone knows what is ego? Have you heard this word?
Many a times.
Yes. What does that mean? What is ego?
Ego is like making a false impression or perception about self and sticking to it,
Okay.
and reacting to others.
Practically, how do you do it? How do you make false?
Within, like it comes within.
Okay. But how does it known? How do you know that you are doing it? This is your ego coming out. Practically.
Like, sir, as you said, you are a software developer. I am a networking guy. Okay.
Very nice.
So you come and tell me that, okay, there is some problem in the IP address. I need to get it verified. And I am saying it's not possible without listening to you. So that is the ego that I am the champion of my area, you don't have to tell me. Something
Okay,
like that.
okay, okay. That is yeah. See, very simply, if we put it, when we say this is mine, I have done it.
Hmm.
It is me. I have done it. I was the one who did this. It's not just saying it when you feel it. So
Feel it.
what is that? What is feeling? That is the ego. मैंने किया, मैंने किया,
Personality,
yeah.
Gurji. Personality.
But no. Personality is
No,
different.
no.
Personality is overall. It's a package.
Okay.
But when you talk about ego is one aspect. How do you identify the ego? This is what we're discussing about. How do you find out what is ego? Say for someone comes and tells you that say you are at a position, at a manager position. Someone else comes and tells you, अरे यार तू तो वो है छोटा सा ऑफिसर है. नहीं नहीं, मैं मैनेजर हूँ, मैं छोटा ऑफिसर नहीं हूँ. That is a reaction. Even though you're not saying, you have that feeling and you get angry about it, right? What is getting angry?
Ego.
Yeah, exactly. That is ego. वो गुस्सा जब आता है ना, गुस्सा कोई कुछ बोलता है मेरे सर पे लिखा हुआ है क्या? People say that. क्या है, कैसा बात कर रहा है मेरे साथ? How you are talking to? I am not that whom you think. These are statements people say. You don't even know who am I. All those. There are many statements like that. Many slangs. But when you hear those things, it's not there's the statement. There is a kind of anger within the person who's saying that. That anger is generated by ego. That is ego. So when you want to identify or pinpoint the ego, this is how it is internally. So people who identify themselves as ego, they have a feeling of inferiority deep within. यार वो मेरे से आगे है, मैं पीछे हूँ. They always carry that inferiority, that competitiveness. And they also propagate outside, saying that अगर ये नहीं होगा तो आगे नहीं बढ़ पाएंगे. I'm not saying it is wrong or right. I'm just saying that how people identify themselves with what. So people who identify themselves as ego have this kind of characteristics. This is coming from Srimad Bhagavatam, so it's quite deep.
Prabhuji,
So yes, Devarishi.
just something to add very quickly.
Yes.
From a psychological point of view, a psychoanalytic point of view, I thought ego is a perception of the self, right?
Yes.
It doesn't have to be, egocentrism or egotism, where we don't really consider the viewpoint of others. We always think big of ourselves, but it is more of the perception of the self, right?
Actually, ego is, see, the word is ahankar, basically. The Sanskrit word is ahankar.
Yeah, yes,
But the problem is that Sanskrit to English is very difficult to translate. So ego is not just the word. There's a prefix to it, which is called false. It's false ego. So basically, there are two types of egos. What we are talking about is a false ego, where you identify yourself as something. But whereas, if you introspect yourself, like identifying and finding out who am I, and then you come to a self-realization, and then you perceive yourself as something which you have realized, of course, by spiritual methods or shastras or whatever, then that is called a real ego. But that,
Prabhuji,
yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
just kind of just reverting back to what Devarushi said.
Yeah.
So again, the study of psychology that we had done in college, they kind of divided ego by a description between id and superego, where they say id is the reptilian brain and superego is the moral one. So they never gave us a full definition of it.
Yeah. So when we will go further in depth into Shastras, you will see all this, how the characteristics and the symptoms are. Basically, Shastras will give you live examples, something which you can actually relate to yourself. So when you relate to yourself and find out, then you will be able to identify them, that whether this is false ego or whether this is a real ego. So this is where we're talking about someone who's relating himself to the false ego. That I am this, I am that, I am this, I am that, whatever. And then what is the characteristic of it? That internally the person has a lot of inferiority. He will not say it, of course. He has to put up something on top so that it is not shown. All of us do. But internally, the characteristic or the symptom is that he will be very inferior. He will be feeling very inferior. The statement which comes from within is, I am very low and I have to raise myself up. You know? Okay. And the next one is when someone identifies himself with the process of consciousness, that I am Chetana, I am consciousness, I am this, force, or the life force which is going on. He actually wants to go in the past. He wants to know his past. This is the characteristics of that person. He wants to know, who am I on the basis of his past. So there comes, whether he wants to know who was he in his past life. Very curious. What will be ahead? What will be past? Wanting to know all these things. So he is trying to identify himself with the consciousness. But who we really are is something which will be described later as per Bhagavad Gita. So these are different aspects I just wanted to share with you. Does it make sense, all of this?
Yes.
Something to meditate on, something to try and find out where we are. And it's not something which is constant, because we keep changing, our thoughts change based on our jnana and vijnana.
So, Prabhuji, you said that we are going to touch this more in depth in next chapters in Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah,
So, at that point of time, will we be able to identify if we have that egoism or no?
it's up to you how deeper your practice is. Everyone has a separate journey. That is the path of self-realization. So you try and identify yourself, whether you are having the characteristics of someone who identifies himself with the body, mind, intelligence, ego, life air, consciousness, soul, servant of God. All of these things are there. How do you identify as yourself? That is the art of self-realization. Everyone is different. Everyone's journey is different. Yes.
Guruji, I think everyone we all have a ego, I think.
Oh, yes, absolutely. But the point is, how do you identify that ego? That is the question.
I definitely have ego.
Oh, yes, everyone has ego. Ego is there with everyone. 100%. You are right. But how do you identify? Like you identify this is your hand,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
This is your hand, right? How do you identify ego? Because it's unseen, right?
No. Yeah, when you say the classifications, I fit into many of them.
Sorry?
You said the classifications. You said this one
The
anger.
characteristics.
Yeah.
Characteristics. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That is where you have to meditate upon. That is this what I identify as myself? And then if you have those characteristics, then you find out what is ego then. If I am identifying myself as the ego, then what is that ego?
Yeah.
How do I actually nail it? How do I find it where it is? Otherwise, if you talk about our all the subtle body, that is mind, intelligence, ego, all these things, they are just words to us, right?
Yeah.
Everything is one. I'm just one. But when you try to see all these characteristics within yourself, you'll be able to identify that component in your body, in your subtle body. That's where you start realizing yourself. And then, over a period of time, we come to know who am I. It's a very interesting journey.
Very beautiful. Yeah.
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 So when you come to know, the layers open. When you identify slowly and slowly all these components,
Yeah.
then you say, okay, I've got this also, I've got this also, I've got this also. This is what it is.
Self-realization.
Exactly. This is what is identifying the components,
Yeah.
what we have, what have been given. So there is a very nice saying by one of the saints. He says that all of us, we try, to get something.
Yeah.
We want something, isn't it?
Yes. Everyone want. Yeah.
Isn't it? But we don't know what to do, what we have.
Yes.
We don't know what to do with what we have. Does it make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
जो मिला है उसका क्या करना है वही पता नहीं है और चाहिए. So first you realize your own self. First you identify yourself. First you know who you are. Only then analyze whether you need something more.
So realization is coming through the, over a period of time, or how does it happen, Guruji?
It may take this life. It may take another life.
Yeah.
It may take a few lives more. Or it may come in a minute. You don't know. It completely depends on how curious are you to get self-realized. Brahma Jigyasa. How deep and how powerful is your curiosity? Okay?
Yeah.
All right. So this is a brief about identifying yourself. Something to meditate upon. This exercise is very good. It will take you on that path of what Arjuna has started. So we want to be where Arjuna is. We don't want to be in the introduction itself, right? We have to move along with Arjuna. So to put ourselves in Arjuna's shoes, these things are important. I'll be giving you these kind of exercises which you can keep on doing at home. Try and identify yourself so that you have the questions what Arjuna is asking. Okay, let's go to the next verses from 39 onwards.
Sorry, Prabhuji, one question.
Yes, please.
You said you meditate on this one. So when you say meditate on this means what should we do exactly?
Okay, what is meditation? Anyone? Yes, anyone knows meditation? What is meditation?
Meditation is thinking about something all this, sitting in a calm position, Guruji, thinking about something, like, meditate on something, like we wanted to achieve some goals or we wanted to reach some point.
Okay. Anyone else?
So, as I understand, meditation isn't only going ahead and sitting in the place and it's a contemplation. You're trying to understand the meaning.
Very nice. Very nicely said, Randhir. Yes. Contemplation. Very good. Anyone else like to add something?
Meditation is concentration of the mind.
Concentration. Yes. Yes. Concentrating on something. It is also meditation. Yes. Any other thoughts? Yes.
Introspection.
That would be a part of self-realization, Abhijit. Yeah. So meditation would be a part of that, but just the process. So that's what Kalpesh wants to know. What is meditation? What do you actually practically do when we talk about meditation?
Breathe.
No. Breathing
Concentrate on the breathing. Concentrate on the breathing.
No. That will be yogasana.
Okay.
That is one of the asana that is doing pranayam. Meditation is not that. Meditation's closest word is what Randhir said, contemplation. Okay, Kalpesh, did you get that? What is contemplation?
No.
Okay, you know what is thinking? A thought.
Hmm.
Yeah. So you're thinking of something, a
Hmm.
thought. Now you're thinking that again
Okay.
and again and again and again and again and again and again. That's what contemplation. Drilling,
I do that
drilling
in
on
one
something.
subject.
You're drilling on something. That's called contemplating. Constantly thinking about something. So for some time, if you think that, you will get a lot of different realizations. Same thought, but different realizations. It does happen because you start relating with things. पहली बार में घुसता नहीं है, दूसरी बार में थोड़ा घुसता है, तीसरी बार में थोड़ा समझ में आता है, चौथी बार में रिलेट करते हैं किसी चीज के साथ उसको, पांचवी बार में वो बोलता है यार ये तो हो चुका है. You experience it,
Hmm.
then you understand it. That's called contemplation, meditating on something. Manana. The other word is manan. Manan. That means contemplating. Okay, did I answer your question?
Hmm.
Okay, cool.
Very
Alright.
nice.
So 1.39.
Thanks, Mandir.
Okay, so now there was an exercise which I had given to all of you. If you remember, what is the next argument of Arjun from verses 39 onwards? Anyone would like to say something?
Yes.
Yes,
The
Aditi.
fourth argument is the fourth reason not to fight is
Yeah.
destruction of family traditions.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
So as I read all the verses, from 39 till the end, so whatever is mentioned, so he doesn't want to kill his ancestors, forefathers, and everyone, so that whatever family traditions we have that come from generations and generations, he doesn't want that to go away. And when you read, there are reasons and why he doesn't want those traditions to go away.
Why?
So
I'm asking you. Yeah. What is the
yeah,
fourth argument?
why he doesn't want
So
that?
he doesn't want to kill his relatives is the first argument also, compassion, right?
Yeah.
So how this fourth one is different from compassion?
So mentioned in all the verses, he has mentioned that how important our ancestors are,
Mm-hmm.
and whatever they pass on, so if there is a destruction of that, somewhere the tradition will get lost, and we will not have, certain things to learn from our forefathers.
Okay.
So that is
Any,
why.
okay. Okay. So forefathers will not be there. Okay. Good point. Anyone else would like to anything?
So just
Yes.
building on what Aditi said,
Yeah.
I think he also mentioned that the forefathers and the ones generations before are to be given offerings, by prasad. And if you actually stop the process, they're going to turn into booths, right?
Okay. So taking care of the forefathers. Okay. Same point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now,
Elaborate.
so there was a very, very weird paragraph, which I think he brought about by Chanakya was somehow brought into it, where he
About
started saying
women.
that I found it funny. They
Yes,
say
even
that
I don't
women are,
agree with certain things,
uh,
but yeah, but
yeah, you
then
know what I'm
Abhijit,
talking about, Aditi,
I
right?
yeah,
You know what I'm talking about.
yeah, exactly. The
Yeah.
I
Chanakya
didn't
thing,
agree with it.
and yeah,
I
I
didn't
don't
agree with
agree
it.
with it, but then fine.
No
Later
problem.
on,
We
try
are
to
anyway not
understand.
reading Chanakya Niti at the moment. So we
Yeah,
can, come back to Bhagavad Gita. Yes, Abhijit.
Yes, sir. I'm looking at it in a different way. Like Arjun has already become compassionate, being the devotee of the Lord, and he's seeing that people are the enemy, so-called enemy. He's seeing the fathers, the uncles and the grandparents and everybody standing, And in a verse 9, Duryodhana has already mentioned that all the heroes who have gathered over here are ready to lay their lives for his sake. So, and Arjun being the devotee, he also knows that whoever is going to fight against dharma or against good is going to end up dying. Now, looking at it, he's looking at the elders, okay, standing in front of him. All the men, all of the family have come and gathered over there.
Mm,
There is Bhishma Pitama, then there is, of course, Dhritarashtra was not there, but there is Duryodhan, then
mm,
Duryodhan's kins, then there are children, and there may be some more children who are left at home,
mm,
with the ladies of the house. So
mm,
his argument is that if all these people die, there
mm,
will be no guidance like Bhishma Pitama. Like if I look at it from my
mm,
angle,
mm,
when
mm,
I was small, I used to sit in on my grandfather's lap, and he used to teach me, or he used to tell me stories about Ganpati or Krishna or Arjun or anything. So
mm.
he is fearing that this particular knowledge, the passing of
Yeah.
knowledge, will be stopped.
Stop.
Secondly,
Very.
he
Mm,
he says that if there are no elder men in the family,
mm,
the children, uh, as it is, like, women are more compassionate about their child.
mm.
They, you know, बच्चे ने कुछ भी गलत किया तो थोड़ा बाप से थोड़ा दूर उसको करने का काम विमेन का रहता है. So in that case, those children will be pampered so much that they will not understand what is right or wrong. And due to the love of the lady or the mother or the aunt or anything, the child can develop bad habits, or he can go into irreligious practices.
Okay.
At the same time, he is also thinking about the women who
Mm,
become vulnerable because there is no head of the family who is actually a male. Now, there will be a point why we are differentiating between male and female. Again, it comes to the point of Chanakya, but Chanakya is left apart. I think it is like, like a small incident, like these COVID situations are going, when when we hear about somebody who dies.
mm,
Okay, what we say is, अरे यार उसका बच्चा अभी 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 तो उसका बच्चा स्कूल में गया था.
mm,
We don't think that, okay, and at the same time the woman, she's going to do for her family, but
mm.
what happens is that family becomes vulnerable without a head of the family. Men are always
Correct.
said to be the head of the family.
Good. Two points. Okay. First point was the forefathers will not be there to lead the family. Second is the women which are vulnerable to the family.
Vulnerable
Women
to the community,
which are the vulnerable side. They will be left alone. Okay. Third
left
point.
alone, and they might get into, they might be forced into adultery, or
Very good.
they might
Yes.
indulge themselves, or whatever
Yeah.
can happen.
Yeah.
So he's looking at that. Thirdly,
Okay.
he
Based
is
on
looking
that,
at the,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Third one. Yeah. Third one.
Thirdly, he is looking, he has understood all the traditions from the knowledge what he has got from the authorities. So what he's saying about is about the salvation, or about releasing the forefather's soul from
Uh,
any kind of bad effects of the sinful acts.
No, that is not a part of his argument, unfortunately. Though it may be part of the discussion, that's fine.
Uh-huh.
But then you have covered actually very important 2 points. One point which is similar to what Aditi and Randhir said about the forefathers being lost. Second
Yes,
point, which you very importantly raised, was the women who are more vulnerable, will be on the attacking side. Like there won't
attacking
be any men in the house, so there will be people who might take the undue advantage of them.
advantage.
Okay, there's a third point which we will discuss in this, which is a part of the same argument. So we'll read the verses. Very
Yes.
nicely done, all three of you. Very
Thank
good, analysis. Very nice. Fantastic. Okay. So
Thank you.
we'll read from 1.39. Please repeat after me. You on that verse? 1.39. कुलक्षये प्रणश्यन्ति
कुलक्षये प्रणश्यन्ति
Shante.
कुलधर्माः सनातनाः
कुलधर्मा
Kuladharma
सनातना
Sanatana.
धर्मे नष्टे कुलं कृत्स्ना
Dharme
धर्मे
naste
नष्टे
kulam
कुलं
krishnam.
कृत्स्नम्
अधर्मो अभिभवते उता
अधर्मो
Adharmo abhibhavate
अभिभवत्युता
uta.
कुलक्षये प्रणश्यन्ति
कुलक्षये
Kulakshay
प्रणश्यन्ति
pranashanti.
कुलधर्माः सनातनाः
कुलधर्मा
Kuladharma
सनातना
sanatana.
धर्मे नष्टे कुलं कृत्स्नम्
धर्मे
Dharme
नष्टे
naste
कुलं
kulam
कृत्स्नम्
kritsnam.
अधर्मो अभिभवत्युत
अधर्मो
Adharmo
अभिभवत्युता
abhibhavatyuta.
कुलक्षये प्रणश्यन्ति
कुलक्षये
Kulakshay
प्रणश्यन्ति
pranasyanti.
कुलधर्माः सनातनाः
कुलधर्मा
Kuladharma
सनातना
sanatana.
धर्मे नष्टे कुलं कृत्स्नम्
धर्मे
धर्मे
नष्टे
नस्ते कुलं
कुलं
कृत्स्नम्.
कृत्स्नम्
अधर्मो अभिभवत्युत
अधर्मो
अधर्मो
अभिभवत्युत
अभिभवत्युतः.
With the destruction of the dynasty, the eternal family tradition is vanquished, and thus the rest of the family becomes involved in irreligion. So, this is the first point Arjuna is making, Kula Dharma. What is Kula Dharma? Kula Dharma depends on the forefathers, to the fathers, to the next generation, because whatever they learn, whatever dharma they follow, they go on giving it to the next generation. Now, that has to be in conjunction with the Shastras. Otherwise, it doesn't become a Kula Dharma. Like someone, I've seen the festivities happening, in today's world, wherein you have a lot of festivities happening, events happening. Kula Dharma is not to drink and gamble during those, festivities. That is not a Kula Dharma. People come back and say, I say, you shouldn't be, it's a festival, wherein you should be thinking about the Lord or glorifying the Lord or doing all those things towards the Lord, not gambling and drinking. But people have the argument that because my forefather, they have given me this kind of kula dharma, that I have to drink during this festival, I have to eat meat during this festival, I have to do all sorts of nonsense during this festival. That is not kula dharma. So kula dharma has to be in conjunction with the scriptures. Okay. I'm giving examples of the festivities which have been performed in today's world. So, just following that tradition without conjunction with the scriptures is not Kula Dharma. He's talking about actual Kula Dharma, the Dharma which is followed by the Kula. Okay? Any questions on that? What I said? No? Yeah?
Sir.
You know what I mean, right? Yes. Yes, Abhijit.
Sir, what is the right way to celebrate any festival? Let's say Diwali. What is the right way to celebrate it?
I was told, someone telling me once, he said that Diwali should be celebrated with Madira and Mas.
Not
Okay,
necessary.
1%. I'm just
Yeah.
giving you an example. So one person told me that. I said, where
What's
is it
up with the
written?
Bengali, Prabhuji?
So I asked him, where is it written in the scripture? He said, no, it's not written anywhere, but it is what I have heard it from my. So that is not Kula Dharma. Please do not just follow based on this. There was a marriage I had attended. In that marriage, they were finding a black cat. That is way back, around 10, 15 years ago. They're trying to find a black cat. I said, why do you want a black cat in the marriage? He said, no, we need to find it. They found a black cat and they put a tokri on top of it, a big bucket on top of it. And then said, now we will continue the marriage. It so happened, I found out that once, this was the lady who was trying to do this. And then I found out from the lady I had my Shiksha Guru also at that time, 10 years ago, and we were into this marriage, and we asked, why did you do that? Why did you, hunt for a black cat and put a kind of bucket on top of it? She said that my grandmother, she was a little girl. At that time, her grandmother actually had seen a black cat, which was considered to be a black omen for some reason, bad omen, and they covered her with a basket. So they follow this tradition. So these are the things. This is not Kula Dharma. So do not just blindly follow. So the way to observe or practice any kind of festivity, you follow that particular shastra. There are samhitas where there is written how Ramayana will describe how the Ayodhya Vasis had actually celebrated Diwali. They did not make anything dirty. So read that. Read Ramayana. How the Ayodhya Vasis had celebrated Diwali. That's the way it has to come through to us. Not by someone who was, just sitting down and listening to the firecrackers and he thought of drinking a single malt whiskey. That's not being transferred as Kula Dharma to others. You understand? So it has to be in conjunction with the Shastras. Read Ramayana. Read the Prasanga where the Ayodhya Vasis, how did they celebrate? How did they celebrate Holi with Lord Shri Krishna? That's the way it has to be done. It is there. Everything is written.
I once here went to one of my friends' home during Dasra, and he had cooked like lots of different kind of meat, and he was from Andhra Pradesh, proper Hindu, and I was surprised.
So try to find out what is the actual Kula Dharma. Arjuna is talking about Kula Dharma, not about any kind of some vague ritual which someone is following. Don't just follow blindly just because my father does it, just because my grandfather does it. I'm doing it. No, it shouldn't be done that way. That is not Kula Dharma. Okay, so Kula Dharma is to be followed as per in conjunction with the Shastras. Okay, we'll read 1.40. He continues, Arjun continues. Adharma vibhavat Krishna
Adharma abhivat
Bhavat
Krishna.
Krishna.
pradushyanti kulastriyah
Pradyushyanti
Pradushyanti
kulastriya.
Kulastriya.
strishu dushtasu varshneya
Strisu
Strishu
Dushtasu
dushtasu
Varshneya.
varshneya.
jayate varna sankara.
Jayate
Jayate
varna
Varna Sankraha.
sankaraha.
So here, first one was forefathers, 1.39. This one gives other two, out of which you guys have covered one. The second one we will cover now. So we'll read the verse again. Adharma bhivat Krishna
Adharma abhivat
Bhivat Krishna.
Krishna.
pradushyanti kulastriyah
Pradyushyanti
Pradushyanti
kulastriya.
Kulastriya.
strishu dushtasu varshneya
Strishu
Strisu
dushtasu
Dushtasu Varshneya.
varshneya.
jayate varna sankara.
Jayate
Jayate
varna
Varna
sankaraha.
Sankraha.
Adharma bhivat Krishna
Adharma
Adharma
Bhivat
abhivat
Krishna.
Krishna.
pradushyanti kulastriyah
Pradyushyanti
Pradushyanti
kulastriya.
Kulastriya.
strishu dushtasu varshneya
Strishu
Strisu
dushtasu
Dushtasu
varshneya.
Varshneya.
jayate varna sankara.
Jayate
Jayate
varna
Varna
sankaraha.
Sankraha.
So when irreligion is prominent in the family, so when adharma comes into the family, irreligion, because of the religion being lost, because of the forefathers and fathers being lost, what happens? Irreligion, adharma comes into the family, number one. So that's first. What happens with that? The women of the family become polluted, as we
Polluted.
discussed. So the women, because there are no males in the family, Because there are no fathers, because there are no males in the family, because there are no heads in the family, the women become polluted. Because why they become polluted? Why will they become polluted? Because the Kshatriyas who are dead on the battlefield, because most of them will die, all the bad quality or the uh, ill people of ill people within the society, not in terms of physically, mentally ill people, as we say, lower minded people, the low class in terms of their mind, they will start mingling with the ladies and they will make them polluted. Irreligious men who will be left behind because the other men will die in the war, the irreligious men, they will start
Mixing up with
polluting
the
the women.
women.
That is his point. And what happens after that? Varna Sankara. Varna Sankara means unwanted
Pollution,
progeny, unwanted population
population.
will come. That is the third point. Now, this is a very, very important thing. It should be discussed in today's world also. That how can you have a proper or a authentic um, or a cultured population? What is the way of getting a cultured population? The cultured population can only happen when the stree or the women of the society are not polluted. They are, but that is not the responsibility of the women itself. It is the responsibility of the males also. Keeping the society that way. In today's world, if you see the population, when we talk about children, the children which are born, when you say how you have the reproduction, how do you have, um, in today's world, how does a baby is born? It is the base is not just a kind of a marriage or a kind of a proper sanskar which happens, a garbo dakshana sanskar, or a proper way of producing or reproducing a child. The way is, many, there is, I think, a statement given by one of the philosophers, or I had read that most of the children in today's world are born over a bottle of whiskey on a Saturday night. Did you hear that?
So we had discussed it. You had mentioned it earlier.
Can you hear me? Can you
Yeah.
all hear me?
Yes.
Are you able to hear me? Sorry, there's a call. So that's what he says. The philosophers say most of the children are born on a Saturday night over a bottle of whiskey. So you imagine what kind of population we will have. So that's why we have little rakshasas everywhere, all around the world. Why we don't have a cultured population? So that needs to be fixed. So that is what Arjun is worried about. That you will have a uncultured population, which is called Varna Sankara. That just the word means. Unwanted progeny. You see how deeply he's thinking? How deep is his thought? Yeah?
But what if the women does not want to mingle? You said only if,
Yeah,
what if the
I
women?
agree.
Yeah.
The problem is all the Kshatriyas will be dying there. So then
But if the women doesn't mingle, there is nothing that will.
I see your point, Aditi. But the problem is that because there will not be any good men, there will be all the low mentality men. How would you identify a low mentality man? They will anyway mingle. Isn't that the problem in today's world as well?
That is what the main problem is in today's world.
So even if you don't want to mingle with a low mentality person, there are low mentality people who do not look like low mentality people. They look very decent, well dressed,
True.
very
That is,
very good.
I agree to that point.
So how would you
100%.
be able to identify? Anyways,
Sir,
yeah, Abhijit.
So not only that, I am looking at a different angle also. When one army is defeated, maybe there are a lot of deaths over there, and the other army will take over the kingdom. So in ancient times, there was a custom, or they had made it so that if I win the battle, everything of the loser will be mine.
Yeah,
So
you
does
can
he
have that
does
aspect
he
also.
and secondly, Duryodhan was more into the evil part, so he was fearing that also. Do you think in that
Well,
way?
I mean, see, this is another analysis of thought that whatever you win is yours. That is also the part when Mughals were,
Yeah.
doing all those kind of things. But in this case, both the sides will lose people. There will be a lot of deaths. It's
Hmm.
not just the losing part or winning part. Winning person also will lose a lot of people, a lot of Kshatriyas.
Right.
So there are a lot of things which is going on in his mind. One aspect could also be that, but mainly he's worried about the unwanted progeny. That
Unwanted
is his
pop.
fourth. He is worried about that. He doesn't even want one child which is unwanted. You imagine. But in Kali Yuga, there are billions, unfortunately. So this is where the adharma has fallen.
He says in the purport we read over there, thus unwanted children flood the human race.
Yeah,
In the purport.
yeah, yeah. So you see, earlier what will happen? They will practice the family traditions using the Varnashrama system. And nowadays you don't know who's a Shudra, who's a Kshatriya, it's all mixed up. Nobody follows anything. Until you really go and introspect yourself and dig yourself deep down to find out what your real nature is. That too, it's very hard. Okay, so the four arguments of Arjun now, starting from beginning. First is compassion. Second is
Compassion.
enjoyment.
Enjoyment,
Enjoyment.
Third is
fear,
Fear.
fear of sinful reactions.
Reactions.
Yeah, and fourth one is yeah,
Destruction of family tradition.
destruction of family traditions. In what way? Destruction of family traditions. First,
And
losing
unwanted
the
pop.
forefathers,
Losing
irreligion,
the
and
Religion. Human
unwanted
unwanted
progeny,
progeny.
Varna Sankara.
Varna.
So you can keep that as the fourth option. That's unwanted progeny. Varna Sankara was his fourth argument. So these are his major four arguments. There will be fifth also, which will be discussed in chapter 2 first. So we'll read the next verses. So he'll continue saying about the Varna Sankara in 1.41. Sankaro narakayeva
Sankaro narakayaiva
kulatnana kulasya cha
Kulagnana
kulajnanasya cha
kulasya
kulasya
cha
cha
patanti pitaro hosham
patanti
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 pitaro
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 hesham
hosham
lupta pindoda kriyaha
lupta
lupta
pindo
luptapindo
pindokatriyaha
kriya
Sankaro narakayeva
sankaro
Sankaro
narakavaya
narakayaiva
kulagnana kulasya cha
kulagnana
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 kulasya
kulasya
cha
kulasya
patanti pitaro hosham
patanti
patanti
pitaro
pitaro
hesham
hyosham
lupta pindodaka kriyaha.
lupta
lupta
luptapindo
pindodaka kriya
pindokakriyaha.
So here he is talking about the increase of unwanted population certainly causes a hellish life for both family and for those who destroy the family tradition. That is, the children who are born, who are the unwanted progeny or the unwanted population, they continue a hellish life for the current family and the next family. Like if you see previously, if you even don't go further, back, you go up to 100 years ago, you start seeing the videos of our India. Even Mumbai, you see, people had tulsi in their houses, in the center of their houses, and they will keep that as the primary, you know, thing to do in the morning. They will have tulsi puja and whatever, put water in that, and that's how the day will start. Poorest of the poorest person would do this. Slowly and slowly, that tradition is completely gone. Nobody has tulsi in the house. They had, they used to have toilets outside their houses. You see, yeah, and they used to eat at home nicely, all of them, and go for toilet outside. Now they eat outside and they do toilet inside the house. You see, Varna Sankar. It's all irreligion flowing. So we slowly and slowly the tradition just goes off. There is no tradition left. So this is how he's worried about. This is how all the things will go on deteriorating. The ancestors of such corrupt families fall down because the performances of for offering them food and water are entirely stopped. We talk about Pindadan here. So if such people they don't even do Pindadan, so even the souls resting in peace there, they will also be having a bad life there, wherever they are. Because their antim sanskar and the proper sanskar are not done properly. Yes, Aditi.
So, so whose fault it is? Now looking at the current thing, so where the
Mhm.
tradition is lost. So, whose fault it is now? As in, from everywhere, looking at today's society, everything is corrupt. Nothing is, like it used to be. But then, whose fault it is?
Our fault,
So,
all of
our
us.
ancestors, all of us.
Current. Let's forget the past. Existing. What are we doing? How much time, how much curiosity do we have to really meditate upon all these things and trying to realize ourselves and
Hmm.
put our time into spiritual activities? See, you can't change anyone, can you? You can only
No.
change yourself.
Hmm.
So we, as our own self, have to change. We start reading scriptures, which we are already doing. Nobody's fault. Nobody's fault. Aditi. It is only the fault when you find yourself of not being able to change yourself. But since we are trying now, so we are on that path.
Okay.
Okay?
Prabhuji,
Yes, Devarshi.
Randhir here, sir.
Randir, yes. Sir.
So, don't you think that there isn't? Don't you think that people make themselves the victims if if there is a desire themselves that they want something?
See, wanting something is not a bad desire. What do you want it for? Is the question.
So, I'll give you an example. You know the Me Too movement, right?
What is that?
The Me Too movement. Now, Aditi's going to kill me.
Okay. If you can tell me in a gist, in a summarized thing,
No,
Oh,
no, no,
what
okay.
I
is it
will not.
about?
Go ahead, go
All
ahead.
right. So, we have hundreds of actresses all over the world, and who turn around and says, "Yes, I was harassed in a how should I use the word with the holy man?
Okay.
Harassed and taken
Abused.
advantage of.
Abused.
But
Okay.
the thing is this is each one of those actresses, it happened 20 years earlier and not now. So the question is this is they gained from their careers. They had the option of going across to a police station and saying this is what happened. But sir, didn't they actually gain from the situation, and that's why they kept quiet?
So you have the answer already.
Yeah, so they were all selfish. I don't have any issues, Ranveer. You are correct. They were all selfish. They wanted certain things, and so they gave up and they came ahead in life. And suddenly this movement started, so everybody started coming up. Me too nonsense. But then, okay.
Right. So that's what I'm trying to say, sir. Is Arjun's argument is women are going to be exploited, but sir, in today's day and age, women themselves are, well, they're not putting themselves to be exploited. They themselves are doing as much exploitation of themselves as possible.
See, that is the unfortunate situation, right? So if that is happening, that means there is something wrong with the society, isn't it?
Yes, sir. There's no abla nari.
No, no. What about us? What are we doing? What is your perception in terms of a lady?
Sir, now
What
it
is
is
what is
equality.
what is no, no, it is not about equality or inequality. It is about what is your perception towards a lady. Is it really in the path of dharma? Are we really thinking? Or are we still enjoying such ladies? Looking at them. What is our position? So we can't change anyone else. We have to change ourselves. How do we see?
Prabhuji, we were taught to be gentlemen. That's how we grew up. But
No,
nowadays, no,
unfortunately not.
no,
We
no,
were
please,
not taught
please,
to be gentlemen.
no, please. But that being said, the way we grew up is okay, you pull out a chair for a lady, things like that. But nowadays with feminism, if you offer to, pay for a dinner, or if you actually pull out a chair, they'll come up and slap you across the face because they'll say, I can do my own, I'm equal.
But why do you want to pull out a chair? Or why do you want to pay for the dinner for a lady? What is your purpose for doing that?
Because that's how you grew up.
No, no. It is not about growing up. It is about why are you doing it? Do you ask yourself or no? Or you just do it because you grew up like that?
What is your
Do it
intention? What is your purpose?
Why do you
because
do that?
that's how you were,
Nah,
that's how you grew up.
nah, nah. There is a reason behind everything, mate. Trust me. So when I do something, there has to be a reason why I'm doing it. In fact, we shouldn't even talk without a reason. Why to do stuff? There has to be a reason why you do that. And you should know why you're doing it. If you do not know, then you should find out. Trust me. Because we are grew up, because we are being told like that. That is not Kula Dharma. That is what Arjuna said just now. Do not follow the Kula Dharma, which is not in conjunction with the Shastras, please. Just because we are told to do something, we are doing it. Why? Everything has a reason. Why are you helping someone? So if you go and want to help a lady, why are you not sharing the knowledge which you are receiving here to someone who's curious to understand? Why just pull out a chair? Why not pull out the chair and make her sit and share the verses of Bhagavad Gita? That's very difficult. So there has to be a reason why you are helping someone. And the best help is by helping your own self. First help is our own self. It is said, the example, the analogy which has been given most of the times which I have heard. When we travel by air, they give us this instruction that when there is a crisis in the plane, first, when the oxygen mask comes down, first you put it on your face and then help the others. So that dharma, realization, self-realization, spirituality, adhyatma has to start from within. First, we have to help our own selves. Are we pure? And once we have that purity level, then the force is already there. Then even if you are present somewhere, that force will attract others automatically. It will be automatic help. They will do what you do. So you can only change your own self. And that's where We have to put ourselves in Arjun's shoes and try to improve, not prove ourselves. Okay. All right. So we'll read from 1 point. Sorry, Randy, did I answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Okay. 1.42. दोषेरैत कुलग्नानां
दोषेरेत कुलग्नानां
वर्णसंकरकारकै
वर्णसंकरकारकै
उत्साध्यन्ते जातिधर्माः
उत्स्यादन्ते जातिधर्म
कुलधर्माश्च शाश्वताः
कुलधर्मश्च शाश्वतः
दोषेरेते कुलग्नानां
दोषरेते कुलग्नानां
वर्णसंकरकारकै
वर्णसंकरकारकै
उत्साध्यन्ते जातिधर्माः
उत्स्यादन्ते जातिधर्म
कुलधर्माश्च शाश्वताः
कुलधर्माश्च शाश्वतः
by the evil deeds of those who destroy the family tradition and thus give rise to unwanted children. All kinds of community projects and family welfare activities are devastated. So this is further extension to Varna Sankara. Read 1.43. Utsanna kula dharmanam
उत्सन्न कुलधर्माणां
manushyanam janardana
मनुष्याणां जनार्दन
narake niyatam vaso
नरके नियतं वासो
भवतीत्य शुश्रुमा
भवतीत्य उषुष्मण्मन
उत्सन्नकुलधर्माणाम्
उत्सन्न कुलधर्माणां
मनुष्याणां जनार्दन
मनुष्याणां जनार्दन
नरके नियतं वासो
नरके नियतं वासो
भवतीत्यनुशुश्रुम.
भवतीत्यन्युशुश्रुम
O Krishna, maintainer of the people, I have heard by disciplic succession that those whose family traditions are destroyed dwell always in hell. So he's saying that when the disciplic succession is heard from his parampara, that is, he has heard from his kula, that whose family traditions are destroyed, whose kula dharma is destroyed, they go to Narak, they go to the hellish planets. So that's not a good position. 1.44. Aho bat mahat papam
अहोबत् महापात्मं
kartum vyavasita vayam
कर्तुं व्यवसायतमयम्
yadraja sukha lobhena
यद्राज्यसुखलोभेन
hantu swajana mudhyata.
हन्तुं स्वजनममत्यतात
Aho bat mahat papam
अहोबत् महत्पापं
kartum vyavasita vayam
कर्तुं व्यवसिता वयम्
yadraja sukha lobhena
यद्राज्यसुखलोभेन
hantum swajana mudhyata.
हन्तुं स्वजनमयुध्यताः
Alas, how strange it is that we are preparing to commit gratefully sinful acts, driven by the desire to enjoy royal happiness. We are intent on killing our own kinsmen. You understand this?
All
What is he
four
saying?
arguments he has roped in as a summary.
Yeah, he's saying that because of the desire to enjoy the royal happiness, because I want the kingdom, because to get the kingdom, I'm standing here to kill my own kinsman. What kind of person would I be if I do that? So what is he relating himself with all the 5 things which we discussed today? What are Arjuna's characteristics? What is he relating himself with? So we had 5 elements, right? Collecting for identifying one oneself. First was body. Second was life air. Third was mind. Fourth was intelligence. Fifth was consciousness. We discussed all these characteristics, right? Where would you put Arjun? What is he identify himself as? Which of these?
Conscious about others.
Consciousness.
Consciousness. What are the characteristics of a consciousness? A person who is identifying himself as consciousness?
Azar is very soft-hearted, kind-hearted, emotional person.
What
This is
was
what
the characteristic of a person who identifies himself
as a
with consciousness? Yeah.
He will
as
think
conscious.
about the past, about his past life, about the future.
Yes. Is he thinking that?
Thinking about
Yes.
the future, yes.
Is he thinking about the future? Is he
Yes.
thinking about
Yes.
the past?
Yes.
Okay. One little bit I'm okay with that. But mainly, what is the main ingredient here?
He is no, sorry, nothing.
Is he hankering? He is not hankering, right? He doesn't want anything. The feeling is that he doesn't want it, right? But what is he feeling? He has a little bit of fear, isn't it? Yes? Yes, does he?
Yes,
Okay.
panic also in a way, like
Okay.
not.
So we'll
Yeah.
read 45 and 46 and then you tell me. Okay? Alright, so we'll read 1.45. Yadi mama pratikaram
Yadi mama
Mama
pratikaram
pratikaram
shastram shastrapanayah
ashastram
shastram
shastrapanayam
shastrapanayah
dhartarashtrarane hanyusta
dhartarashtrarane hanyus
hanyus
tanme shametaram bhavet.
tanme
tanme
shame
shametaram bhavet
Yadi mama pratikaram
yadi
yadi
mama
mama
pratikaram
shastram shastrapanayah
shastram
shastram
shastrapanayam
shastrapanayah
dhartarashtrarane hanyum
dhartarashtrarane
dhartarashtrarane hanyus
hanyus
tanme shema taram bhavet.
tanme
tanme
shema
shemataram
taram
bhavet
bhavet
Yadi mama pratikaram
yadi
yadi
mama
mama
pratikaram
pratikaram
shastram shastrapanayah
shastram shastrapanayah
pranayam
dhartarashtrarane hanyus
dhartarashtrarane
dhartarashtrarane
hanyus
hanyus
tanme shema taram bhavet.
tanme
tanme
shema
shemataram
taram
bhavet
bhavet.
Better for me if the sons of Dhritarashtra, weapons in hand, were to kill me unarmed and unresisting on the battlefield. He's feeling low, isn't it? Do you feel that? He's feeling low. Better they kill me. Yeah. So one side he's having fear of sinful reaction. One side he's having thinking about the future. One side he's thinking that they should kill me. He's feeling low. Yes. Last one. Sanjaya Uvacha
sanjaya uvacha
Eva Mukta Eva Muktvarjuna
eva muktvarjunah
Sankhye Rathopastha Upavishat
sankhiratopasto pavisat
Visrajya Sasharam Chapam
visrajya sarat chapam
शोकसंविघ्नमानसः
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 सञ्जय उवाच
सञ्जय
सञ्जय
उवाच
उवाच
एवमुक्त्वार्जुनः
एवम्
एवम्
उक्त्वार्जुन
उक्त्वार्जुनः
सङ्ख्ये रथोपस्थमुपाविशत्
सङ्ख्ये
सङ्ख्ये रथोपस्थोपाविशत्
रथोपस्थमुपाविशत
विसृज्य सशरं चापम्
विसृज्य
विसृज्य सरस
सशरं
चापम्
चापं
शोकसंविघ्नमानसः
शोकसंविघ्नमानसः
मानसे
ते सञ्जय उवाच
सञ्जय उवाच
एवमुक्त्वा एवमुक्त्वार्जुनः
एवमुक्त्वार्जुनः
सङ्ख्ये रथोपस्थमुपाविशत्
सङ्ख्ये रथोपस्थोपाविशत्
विसृज्य सशरं चापम्
विसृज्य सरसं चापम्
शोकसंविघ्नमानसः
शोकसंविघ्नमानसः
Sanjay said, Arjun, having thus spoken on the battlefield, cast aside his bow and arrows and sat down on the chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief. Okay, my question again. Whom is Arjun identifying himself with?
Between mind and consciousness.
Okay. Anyone else? Anyone else would like to add this? Whom
Sorry,
is Arjun?
I got
Yeah.
disconnected. What was the
Yeah.
question, Prabhu?
Question was, whom is Arjun identifying himself with? Body, life air, mind, intelligence, or consciousness? See the
Everything.
characteristics. Very good. Very good. So what
Fully
does that mean?
confused.
Yeah. So he is
Total
confused.
confusion. Yeah.
Yeah. What happens when you are confused?
You cannot make any right decision.
Indecisive.
Exactly. Indecision. And that is Arjuna's fifth argument. Indecision, which will come in from chapter 2.1 and a few verses. Indecision. And what do you do? What you actually do when you are confused?
You make wrong decisions.
Yeah, that is true. But
seek
what is
advice.
Yeah, you seek advice, okay. But what is the act, the first act?
You contemplate, sir.
Contemplate is when you do manan, yeah, but you did that and you're still confused.
Sit down and analyze the situation,
Still
sir.
confused.
Exactly. I won't do anything. I don't do anything. I don't want to do anything. I just want to take a break. And that is the correct way of doing things. Trust me. When you are confused, do not take a decision.
But then at certain times we cannot take a break. We have to decide.
Just take a break. Whatever
But we
it is.
cannot take a break. No, but we cannot take a break.
If we cannot take a break, is it what you're saying?
Yeah, at certain times we are confused, but we cannot
Okay.
take a break. We
Okay.
have to.
Okay, at certain times when you are not able to take a break, yeah, at times when you are not able to take a break, that is where Krishna comes into picture in chapter 2.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
But when there is a chance, take a break. When you are confused, don't take a decision, take a break. But now, chapter 2 will tell us what should you do if you cannot take a break and you have to take a decision at that time. Okay?
We seek advice. If we cannot take a break, we seek advice.
Yes, yes.
And we take it from the person who is sane and we go ahead with our problem and we can seek advice. This is what
That
we
is called
can do.
intelligence. You know what to do when you don't know what to do. That is called intelligence. So you take shelter, you take advice.
Hmm.
But whom do you take the advice from? Someone who always gives advice?
From some sane person who is going to help you,
Who
or
is the
some
sane person?
trustworthy person.
Who is that trustworthy person? Or who is that sane person? How will you identify? Don't say Krishna
Me,
because
I
you don't have Krishna.
for me,
A
I don't.
knowledgeable person.
Okay,
For
but
me,
how would you know it's a knowledgeable person?
Uh,
no.
if I wanted advice about finance, I would go to Randir. He's a financial.
I agree.
So
Yeah. But even having said that, someone who has the domain knowledge, as you say, how do
For
you
me,
choose someone
uh,
from that domain expertise, knowledgeable people? How do you choose? Hey, Charu. Yeah, fine.
Other thing you were saying?
Yeah. Yes.
I would.
Yes.
Yeah, I was saying that for me, I first thing would be I would actually ask, any signs and signals from the divine, okay,
Okay.
and
Okay.
then I would go to someone who I trust. So that
Okay.
can be a friend,
Okay.
not necessarily some expertise in whatever field or something,
Trust. Yes,
but
that's
yes,
a
I
very
would,
good aspect.
yeah, I
That you trust
trust
someone
someone and
based on your
signs and
past experience. Okay.
yeah, and signs and signals from the divine. This is what I look forward when I'm
Okay.
genuinely confused.
Any other aspect would you think?
So Google Baba.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Can't hear you, Kalpesh. You're on mute.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, not very recently, but few months ago, maybe, when I want to relax, I would bring some alcohol and just have some fun by myself.
No, that is taking a break. That is okay. But I
Yeah,
wouldn't recommend drinking and taking a break.
yeah.
I would recommend taking a break only and doing some meditation if it's possible on something which you like to think about. Okay. So, whom do you seek advice from? Someone, of course, domain, trust are important aspects. Domain knowledge, trust, knowledgeable person, all these are absolutely necessary. But there are many like that. Okay, there are many like that. Have you heard Krishna so far in Bhagavad Gita? So much has happened. Have you heard
Randagan.
any statement from Krishna?
No, he's collecting all the data.
No,
He's
no.
just quiet, isn't it? He's just quiet, isn't it? He's there. It's not that he's not there. Huh? He's there. So
Yes.
are we thinking that Krishna is there in the story? We are not thinking, are we? Huh? He's
Yes.
sitting there. He's sitting
I
there. Yeah? We're
because
thinking, right?
Arjun is speaking to him. So
Exactly. So
I
he's
am
there, right?
thinking
But he
yes.
has not spoken yet. Have you thought about it?
He's listening to Arjun patiently. He
Yeah.
wants Arjun to vent out everything he has to.
Make a note when Krishna starts speaking. Now, next time, not today, but we will please make a note that when Krishna is starting to speak, that is the characteristic of a person whom you should seek advice from. That we will discuss in the next session. Okay? So you observe when Krishna starts speaking and when he actually is giving advice to Arjuna. That is the observation in Bhagavad Gita. Okay?
Mhm.
So that ends our chapter 1 today. So we'll start with chapter 2 next week.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
Any questions or comments? Please ask. Yes, Rishi.
So just quick question. So because the fourth point that we said is unwanted progeny,
Yeah,
and when we look at verse 1.43, it talks. He says that I've heard from disciplic succession that those whose family traditions are destroyed dwell always in hell. So that somehow also links to the third point, which is fear of sinful reaction. Is it
yeah,
an
yeah,
extension of the point in a way to say?
yeah. You can say that. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So he's thinking that if we kill these people, then no, it doesn't link with three. It links with four itself.
Okay. Because I thought
Because
sinful reaction is that only, that you'll always, be in
no,
hell.
no, 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 no. Sinful reaction is different. As to these people who are, he's talking about. If you read, these are the extension of um, the previous verse, which is about uh, you know Kulagarva,
Unwanted.
Hmm.
yeah, unwanted progeny, because they will not follow the family traditions, so they will not be able to continue with those. They'll continue the adharma, and because of that, they're not even just they will be suffering, but also their forefathers who are in the what you call
Afterlife.
who are there, they will be going into what you call lower
Okay.
planets. So it's a fourth one. It's not the third one.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Uh,
Any other question?
Sir, about hell, I suppose he is talking about hell because the unwanted population will not follow the traditions, and any sinful act during the life before death, a person has to perform some paschatap or atonement. So if he does not, then he will be transferred to hellish planets.
That angle is not there because that thing which you know, what is the basis of that? What is the source of that one, Abhijit?
Sir, verse 4 point, sorry, 1.43,
Mhm.
in that the purport I was reading, and in that it is mentioned. 1 minute, I'll
Oh,
just,
process of
Arjun,
attainment called Prayaschitta.
yeah,
Oh, without doing so, oh, he's thinking on that terms.
yeah, yeah,
He's thinking on that. See, that is because in the Vedas, it is described about also. He's talking about all those karma kanda.
karma.
Yeah, yeah. But that is something which is not to be, you know, as a, what do you call, as a practice we do. Because Vedas, when they talk about these things, they talk about a lot of other things also. So
So,
for the knowledge is okay, but yeah, yeah.
so I understand your point, but looking at the argument which Krishna is giving, because of
Krishna,
sorry, Arjun is giving,
ah.
the point what he is making, that due to the women getting polluted, there will be unwanted population which will flood the human race. Okay,
Mhm.
and this unwanted population will be sort of irresponsible. They'll be falling into irreligious practices, as
Yes,
well as they will not be following the traditions. And not only the traditions, if we look behind, if we look at Arjun or anybody, they had also learned the Vedas, so they know that what has to
yeah,
be done for.
yeah, correct,
So
correct.
I think he is relating over
He's
there
relating
and
to the
saying,
Vedas understanding. Yes, that's right.
yeah,
But
and
all these will be refuted. The thing is that for understanding, it's okay. You can think that way, or you can think in terms of whether you will be able to do the pindadan or not. To the all these things which happen, these are all a process of karma kanda.
okay,
So it is all related to your karmas, your
okay,
sacrifice, your prayaschitta. These are all karma. Basically, you want to be sin free before you die.
yeah,
The idea is that. But
Prabhuji,
Krishna will refute. Yes.
so isn't this concept of prayaschitta just a smaller aspect among Santana Dharma? Unlike Christianity, sir, where you murder 40 people, and as long as you confess, सब कुछ ठीक ठाक है.
Everywhere, the Karma Kanda, you see, Karma Kanda is also like that. When you read the Vedas, no, they will tell you how to eat meat, what time, कैसे काटने का, कैसा पकाने का, सब बताते हैं. So when you go to Karma Kanda, na, there is everything.
So what is it in Vedas that you
Yeah,
can?
yeah, of course it is there. Mamsa, how to eat mamsa. So, but that is Karma Kanda. So if you want to follow that, follow that. But do that way. Read it and do that way. Okay. And it tells you also that what happens, what are the reactions with that also. वो सब पता
Hmm.
चलता है. आधा खाली मत पढ़ना, पूरा पढ़ना. Read the whole Veda properly.
Hmm.
But unfortunately, we don't have any Brahmanas today, you know, proper Brahmanas who can properly read all the mantras and tells. That's why, but what is said in Vedas, what is said in Puranas is like, you know, everything is like a big cow. And what is the essence of a cow? It's milk. When we talk about the essence of the whole Vedas and Puranas, it's the milk, and the milk is Bhagavad Gita. So if you read Bhagavad Gita, you will get the essence. So Krishna will also tell you what to eat, what not to eat.
So
Whom to kill, whom not to kill. Arjuna also killed. He killed millions of people.
Hmm.
And Krishna told him to kill.
Hmm. So does Krishna also says not to eat onion, garlic, and mushrooms?
That's Jain.
Specifically, he will not say. What Krishna says that what he likes to eat.
Because so many devotees they follow this, not eating onion, garlic, mushroom,
Yeah.
yeast.
See, Krishna will tell you what he likes to eat. So what happens is the devotees, they offer Krishna what he likes to eat. And then once he finishes eating, they take everything and mix in their own food, make it a prasad. So when you offer it to the Lord, it's called bhog. And
Mm-hmm.
when you eat the remnants of what is left, it's called prasad.
Prashad.
So,
These are the two different things. So when you offer someone something, you do not offer someone what you like to eat. You offer someone what he likes to eat. Okay?
Hmm.
And the remnants, which is the prasad, if you want to eat only that, then you will have to eat what is left over of the person who has eaten, which is Krishna. Does it make sense?
Hmm.
That is why they offer Krishna what he likes to eat, and they eat what Krishna likes, because that's a prasad any which ways. That is why no onion garlic, because onion garlic is not offered to Krishna. Does this make sense?
Hmm. So anything we make at home, including say turmeric milk, for example, do we offer it to Krishna and then is that how it's going to work?
Yeah, you can offer. Yeah,
Hmm.
you can offer. But offer what he likes. Don't offer what you like.
Hmm.
That's the only thing. Suggestion.
Hmm.
It's not about vegetarian. It's not about eating meat. It's about Aditi Devo Bhava. It's about what your guest likes to eat.
Hmm.
or rather Krishna likes to eat? Yes, Rishi.
Yesterday I was seeing a audio actually of Srila Prabhupada. He said exactly the same thing that you are saying right now. He said if Krishna if he had said that he likes meat, we would have offered meat.
Yeah,
But
don't mind.
he has mentioned he likes milk, he likes this,
Yeah.
so we offered that. It's very
Patram
simple.
pushpam phalam toyam yo me
Correct.
bhaktya pravachati. That's what he says.
Yes. Yes.
Hmm.
So he likes food grains, he likes milk, he likes butter, he likes cream, he likes nicely cooked, all these things. So we offer him that and we eat that. Yeah. Does it answer your question, Kalpesh?
Yes, very well said. Thank you.
Any other question or comments? If no, we'll end our session here and we'll connect again next Sunday. Please read a little bit on the next verses and then keep your observation skills on next time to see how Krishna responds.
Okay.
All right. Hare Krishna.
Hare
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 Krishna.
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 Hare Krishna.
Right.